What up, people? Kamari Ellis here, another edition of the Finance Rebel Show. Today is a little bit special, but bear with me for a minute. Today, we are going to talk about the $100 million man, Joe Rogan. Now, y'all know the Finance Rebel Show is all about money. Taxes, stocks, business, economics, black wealth. But today, it's a little bit of an angle, but it's going to be tied into black wealth and overall black condition as it relates to the black community as well. So bear with us as we have this conversation. I also have a really good friend of mine who's on this channel from the very, very beginning, one of the very, very first interviews, Mr. Kevin Gee. Now, if anybody knows anything about me and Kevin's relationship, y'all know it's one of tumultuous, right? We get it popping, but we're good friends, right? But we argue like brothers, and so it makes it lively. It makes it very, very interesting at times. You would think we hate each other at times, but it's all love, folks. Black love still rules here. Now, today, Kevin's been on my top about Joe Rogan and all his shenanigans with his alleged misinformation campaign, and then with his new allegations of using the N-word. And I guess we can't even say allegations because it's been proven he responded to it. But today, we're going to dissect this, talk about it, and say, one, should Joe Rogan be canceled? Two, do boycotts even matter anymore? But without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Kevin Gee. As he said, what's up, sir?
What's going on with you, brother?
All righty. So we got you here. I got the sound effects, so you know there's going to be a lot of... So I want to give you your flowers. Listen, I'm going to say this for the record, right? Kevin's one of my biggest fans, right? One of my biggest supporters. He's always on my top saying, Kamari, you got to do more. You got to do more content. It's got to be cleaner content. He's one of the first ones who's always out to critique my content in a loving way, right? Sometimes a brutal way. We can't tell if we love or hate each other on certain days, right? But he's always the one to say, yo, this could be cleaner. This could be better. You have something to deliver and do it. So I appreciate you, Kevin. I want to get that out up front because Kevin might cuss me out during this show. I just want to let y'all know that.
I already tell you from the earlier conversation, I know it's coming. I'm going to try to contain myself.
No, let it loose. Be you. Be you, my friend. Be you.
Oh, and I critique your work. I don't criticize it. Criticism is harsh. Critiquing is, productive. I try to help.
That is correct. That is accurate. I misused the word. See, y'all already see where this is going, right? He's coming in. He's coming in heavy. All right, so I see a couple people in the room. Hank's here. Jose's here. Don's here. Welcome. Do me a favor before we get started. Share this out somewhere because, again, it's going to be a good conversation. So, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's in focus. The $100 million man. Joe Rogan got paid $100 million by Spotify a couple years ago to bring his podcast to the Spotify platform. And now he's in focus. Many people did not like his commentary as it relates to COVID because he interviewed some people. They thought he was spreading misinformation. They thought it was bad for the platform. So many are calling for him to be censored, or I think as what the new folks call it, canceled. I don't know what the new term is, but they want him out of here. What's your thought about that? What's your thoughts about that, Kevin?
Well, the question is, can the man have a perspective, first and foremost? If he can have a perspective, then why are we canceling people for having a perspective? Now, I think the problem is when you lean heavy to one side. Again, he's not a journalist. I think all these folks that had these podcasts, some of them claim that they're journalists, and I don't believe so. I think that they're opinion pieces, like the Tucker Carlsons and most of the people on Fox News. So when they give their perspective, they lean one way, left or right, without giving the other side to make it a balanced conversation. So I think that's where he goes wrong when he brings on folks that spreads that misinformation, because then he doesn't bring the other side in to refute it or to have a balanced dialogue.
Okay. But his show is mainly interview, and he interviews experts. So you would say he is bringing a balanced perspective.
Not when he doesn't bring in the other side. If he's going to bring in the people that's anti-vaccine or anti-vax and not bringing the other side, then how is that balanced?
Okay. Now, here, I just shared an article, right, just to give context. Spotify strikes podcast deal with Joe Rogan worth $100 million. Now, y'all know on the Finance Rebel Show, we're always talking about money. We're always talking about business, right? So we're going to talk about the business angle of this, not just the social commentary of it all. So Kevin feels that his commentary is, all right, so Rob Lewis is saying the audio is a little low. Is it low on my end or is it low on Kevin's end, Rob? Kevin, say what's up to the people real quick.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Do I need to speak up?
Yeah, you might need to speak up.
All right, not a problem.
All right. So again, $100 million man, Spotify. People want him off the platform. So people were mad that he had on these quote unquote experts. And we'll cover what he talked about as well on that also. But they were mad that he brought on these experts. He was what many called anti-COVID or anti-vaccine or anti-vaxxer, which I don't think is necessarily fair to him. But Kevin was saying he's spreading misinformation. So could it be that the mainstream thought, the mainstream zeitgeist right now is just so pro-vax that they don't even want to hear anything that goes the contrary?
It could be that, but also, as you and I have talked in the past, once you get a platform and then you start to reach this many people, now you have a responsibility. You and I just talking, shooting it. Listen, we say what we want to say, but when you start to reach hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, now you have a duty. You have a duty to make it balanced. Because if you're just spewing, I mean, again, it's almost like hate speech. Yeah, that's how that person feels. But when you're touching so many people, it becomes damaging. And that's what it is with Joe Rogan. Because he reached so many people, his opinions on a thing matter because these are his quote unquote followers. So now you have to, just in the spirit of reporting, you have to give the balance, a balanced perspective.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into what Joe actually said as it relates to these issues, because Neil Young had a problem with his commentary. He was the one who initially started this off, and then Bruce Springsteen jumped on the board. Said, and let me back up. So Neil Young, right? So this is part of the business angle, y'all. Neil Young said he'd take my stuff off of Spotify. And real quick, let me look something up real quick before we go into Bruce and before we go into Joe Rogan's commentary. I'm not sure if it's still up. I was really interested to see how much weight Neil Young had on Spotify, meaning how many streams is he getting monthly? We know Bruce Springsteen gets a lot. All right, so I'm looking on Neil Young Spotify right now, and it'll show you the monthly listen. So he gets 5.6 million monthly streams. That's a lot. I mean, and he hasn't produced any new music for quite some time. So he definitely is a heavy hitter. 5.6 million streams monthly on average. That's a lot. Now we know Bruce Springsteen has also joined in with this as well. And let's see what Bruce is getting. We know Bruce is heavy out here in these streets. Bruce gets 13.3 million. So isn't it wonderful when you can go upstream and pick somebody that is your homie and say, hey, you have more weight than me. Can you join in on this fight with me? So that's roughly 13 million plus his 5 million. We're looking at 18 million. Right. I was going to round off and just say 20. So let's just say 20 million because, again, it's an average. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, the question is, what does Joe Rogan pull in? What are his monthly streams? Right. So his podcast, I don't know if they publish his monthly streams. Let's see. I don't see where they publish his monthly streams, but we know if Spotify cut him a check for 100 million, and I'm not sure of the details of that total deal, but if they cut him 100 million, you know he must be bringing heavy footage.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we can do, just to look at metrics again, just to paint the picture, just so we could have full context. I know he's heavy on YouTube. I just looked this up yesterday. I did a stream with Erica Williams from the Classy Clown blog. I think Joe Rogan is around 13 million subs on YouTube. So, again, we know he's heavy out here on these social media streets. You know what? Okay, he has 11.8 million subs on YouTube. Let's round it up to 12. So we can just use it as a proxy, right? So he's got 12. Neil and Bruce got 20. That becomes a very interesting fight right there.
It doesn't stop with just Neil and Bruce, because I think there's a lot of other people that's pulling their music off of this the platform as well.
Definitely want to get to that because we know Arie has chimed in this thing, but from a different perspective. And actually, that's a perspective that I'm actually a little bit more intrigued with than everything else with the quote unquote misinformation campaign. But you know what? Let me do this real quick. Let's take a look at this real quick. I want to make sure I share the audio right. Sometimes I go a little too fast. Don't share the audio, which I didn't do last time. I didn't share the audio. I want to make sure I get the audio in so everybody can hear it. Again, everybody that's watching, give me a 1 in the chat to make sure that everybody can hear us clearly. So here is his first retort to this.
I can't hear that.
Days. Oh. And hello, friends. I wanted to make a video to address some of the controversy that's been going on over the past few days. And first of all, to say thank you to everyone that sent love and support. I truly, truly appreciate it. And it's been very nice to hear from you. I wanted to make this video, first of all, because I think there's a lot of people that have a distorted perception of what I do, maybe based on sound bites or based on headlines of articles that are disparaging. The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically about 2 episodes, a little bit about some other ones, but specifically about 2. One with Dr. Peter McCullough and one with Dr. Robert Malone. Dr. Peter McCullough is a cardiologist, and he is the most published physician in his field in history. Dr. Robert Malone owns 9 patents on the creation of mRNA vaccine technology and is at least partially responsible for the creation of the technology that led to mRNA vaccines. Both these people are very highly credentialed, very intelligent, very accomplished people, and they have an opinion that's different from the mainstream narrative. I wanted to hear what their opinion is. I had them on, and because of that, those episodes in particular, those episodes were labeled as being dangerous. They had dangerous misinformation in them. The problem I have with the term misinformation, especially today, is that many of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. Like, for instance, 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID, you would be removed from social media. They would ban you from certain platforms. Now, that's accepted as fact. If you said, I don't think cloth masks work, you would be banned from social media. Now, that's openly and repeatedly stated on CNN. If you said, I think it's possible that COVID-19 came from a lab, you'd be banned from many social media platforms. Now, that's on the cover of Newsweek. All of those theories that at one point in time were banned were openly discussed by those 2 men that I had on my podcast that have been accused of dangerous misinformation. I do not know if they're right. I don't know, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a person who sits down and talks to people and has conversations with them. Do I get things wrong? Absolutely, I get things wrong, but I try to correct them. Whenever I get something wrong, I try to correct it because I'm interested in telling the truth. I'm interested in finding out what the truth is. And I'm interested in having interesting conversations with people that have differing opinions. I'm not interested in only talking to people that have one perspective. That's one of the reasons why I had Sanjay Gupta on, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who I respect very much, and I really enjoyed our conversation together. He has a different opinion than those men do. I had Dr. Michael Osterholm on at the very beginning of the pandemic. He is on President Biden's COVID-19 advisory board. I had Dr. Peter Hotez on, who is a vaccine expert. I'm interested in finding out what is correct, and I'm also finding out how people come to these conclusions and what the facts are. Now, because of this controversy, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes with these controversies, but Neil Young has removed his music from the platform of Spotify, and Joni Mitchell, and apparently some other people want to as well. I'm very sorry that they feel that way. I most certainly don't want that. I'm a Neil Young fan. I've always been a Neil Young fan. I'll tell you a story at the end of this about that. One of the things that Spotify wants to do that I agree with is that at the beginning of these controversial podcasts, like specifically ones about COVID, is to put a disclaimer and say that you should speak with your physician, and that these people and the opinions that they express are contrary to the opinions of the consensus of experts, which I think is very important. Sure, have that on there. I'm very happy with that. Also, I think if there's anything that I've done that I could do better is have more experts with differing opinions right after I have the controversial ones. I would most certainly be open to doing that. And I would like to talk to some people that have differing opinions on those podcasts in the future. We'll see.
So, that's kind of the layout. I don't want to bore everybody with everything that he's got going on. But I think it's interesting. I will say this. I watch Joe Rogan from time to time just out of pure respect of what he's built. And it's interesting because I do agree. I think he tries to have a balanced approach. He's definitely right-leaning, though. I don't think there's too many white dudes out here on major media who are not right-leaning. And that's cool. That's their right. But I think it's important to understand perspective as well. But Kevin's not going for it. He's like, you have a bigger responsibility to this, right, Kevin?
That is absolutely correct. But he addressed it. He said he has to do a better job of bringing the counter argument on. And I'm totally with that. So, when he put this out, I told you then, I respect that. All right, let's move forward. Let's see where we go from there.
Okay. Hold on. Let's not go too fast. Don't go too fast. See where you're going. Now, real quick, he mentioned Joni Mitchell as well. So remember we talked about Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell. So then that brings that count to about 21-ish million, maybe 22-ish million, somewhere around there. So heavy hitters are out here coming now. Some of y'all might not know who Joni Mitchell is. You might got to go back to the 70s catalog and get up on it, but she's penned a lot of music. Bruce has penned and performed a lot of music. Same thing for Neil Young. So they got a fan base. They have folks who are heavy in the game. Now, Kevin, you were talking about part of the reason why Neil Young was so adamant about this was because him and his family were affected by COVID directly. Is that correct?
Well, they have pre-existing conditions. So for people not to be vaccinated or wear masks around them could be deadly to them. So he has a very personal stake in it.
Gotcha. So he's sensitive to the situation, like I think most human beings are, but some human beings just thinks it's all made up, and it's a joke. Even though I think the current count of COVID deaths is closing in on about 900,000. So we roughly had 1 million deaths of COVID in the United States, not globally, but in the United States. I don't think that's something to play with. You got a lot of people who don't believe that it's that many deaths. So again, we're dealing with people who choose to believe what they want to believe and don't want any information to the contrary. Okay.
And I think a lot of people are afraid to hear a different opinion because it'll change their mind. And we know people don't like change.
No, people don't like change at all. right, so then something else happened.
Then the other shoe dropped.
You know, once you get national media, people start to dig. People start to go back. And then we saw Arie drop another bomb where she said she's pulling her music off of Spotify as well. By the way, full disclosure, Kevin's probably going to flame me for still using my Spotify subscription that I currently pay for since all of this came on. Full transparency.
But I'm actually not. But
why?
Okay.
Are you getting soft in your old age, man?
No, I'm not getting soft at all. My question becomes this:
Hold that question. Well, you know what? Ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. Boycotting, is it still necessary? Does it still work?
All right, so y'all have that, right? Is boycotting still necessary? So keep that in mind as we go. Matter of fact, somebody in the chat, do me a favor. Write in the comments, does boycotting still matter? Does it still work? Whichever one resonates with you. But I still want to unpack this, right? So we can have a full engaged conversation, because I know Kevin feels this way too, that a lot of times we jump to judgment without knowing all the facts. Kevin just talked about it. People don't want to change their mind, even if introduced with new facts, new information, and they will stay stuck, dug in on their topics, on their interests. Like, you know, there's certain people that believe the orange monkey was a good president, even though the facts have always pointed the other way. That's my personal opinion. I'm sticking with it until there's new evidence, until there's new information to prove otherwise. But every day new information comes in to prove that fact. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
Yes.
Nobody wants to change their mind because everybody believes that they are correct.
All right, so
which they are when you talk about your personal feelings. You have a right to feel the way you feel. You are correct if that's how you choose to feel. It doesn't make the information that you're choosing to believe correct. It just means that you're being, genuine to how you feel.
Okay. But let's check out what Miss India had to say. One of my favorite artists. I'm definitely biased here, but let's pull this up. Give me 1 second as well. Oops. There we go.
Happy Black History Month. Some of you all may know.
Oh, she's setting this right. Happy Black History Month to everybody. Let's keep Black history alive, not just during February, but every day. But let's use February as a sounding, as a benchmark for us to just jump off and keep Black history in focus.
Know that I have decided to boycott Spotify. I talk about that, the clarification of my reasons in my stories. So please go watch, because the news picked it up, which I honestly did not expect. But they're not exactly clear about why I personally want to boycott Spotify. So I cleared it up the best I could in my stories. I cleared it up. So go check that out. And all of this is also coming on the tails of another story I posted about 2 weeks ago, calling the music industry trash. People said that I accused the music industry of being racist and sexist and deceitful. And I want to clarify some things. It's not an accusation.
I don't think that's a question. I don't think that could be said. That's not a fact. What do you think, Kevin?
She's clearing it up. She's telling you.
No, but I'm asking you for the record, right? As we go through this, as we break this down, I would say the music industry absolutely is trash.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It's wisdom. And I'm not the only person who can confirm this for you. All of my friends in the business have had extreme challenges, and they see it. They know what this is. The same racism and sexism and deceitfulness that exist in this world at large is in the music industry, and where it is in all of the corporate structures, it's in the music industry, which is a huge corporate structure too. But the music industry is completely unchecked, because there's a reason why the Me Too movement didn't hit the music industry, because all that stuff goes unchecked. Okay. And so on one of my slides in that story that I posted about the music industry being trash, and actually I actually said sheer and utter trash, one of the slides I posted there, I said, I will never heal from all of it because it has shaped my life in ways that I can't get back. And I want to clarify that I feel like anybody who has an emotional life is going to go through things that changes the shape of who they are, and they can never return to what they were. Time does that in and of itself, but relationships do that. Becoming a parent does that. Losing a child does that. The death of someone close to you does that. Extreme, tumultuous experiences, positive or negative, do that. They change us. And that's what I meant when I said I will never heal from it all, because I will never be that again. I had a vision of having my first child in my mid to late 30s, but I didn't. I can't go back to my mid and late 30s and do it. I can still have a child now, should I so choose, but I didn't have what I wanted. It shaped my life in different ways. And because all of my energy was going into pushing so hard to be seen in the industry that didn't really want me to be seen. It was a hard push. But it's like that for some artists, because the industry is built for some certain types of people and not for others. But I'm still here, and I pushed, and I got some of what I wanted, a lot of what I wanted, at the expense of other things, like developing friendships, like deeper friendships and stuff like that. And I can't get that time back, and that's what I meant. But I don't go cry myself to sleep at night because of these things. I absolutely love who I am. And I would be who I am and take all the stuff that's been hard about my life. I would still take that stuff to be who I am. And when I said I was so pretty and didn't even know, and I said the music industry had me blind to my beauty, I want to talk about the way I use language in this context. For me, pretty is how your eyes, nose, and lips line up. Beauty is all of those things that make up a person. That is their beauty. And so go look at the pictures. Go look at me from the early 2000s. I look like I should have been modeling for Benetton or something like that. Like eyes and bone structure and hair and flow. Like I was doing a thing that was special. But that aside, when I talked about the music industry making it so that I couldn't see my beauty, I was talking about something else too, beauty. So I just want to say, it's been really interesting with this this boycotting of Spotify thing. I see some bots and trolls and what I think might be self-appointed Joe Rogan street team here. They say stuff like, well, who are you? Who is that? Nobody even listens to your music. We don't know you. Blah, 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 blah. But let me tell you who I am on this 2222. My name is India Arie Simpson. That is my birth name. So I don't have a stage name because I was born for this. Over the last 20 years, I've released 8 albums, all completely populated with songs that are of a high consciousness, songs about humanitarian love, the interconnectedness of humanity. One of the most common reoccurring themes in my work is self-love. I've sold upwards of 10 million albums. I've been nominated for 25 Grammys. I've won 4. And I was a voice for a lot of people whose stories were never told. Mm-hmm. And I was telling those stories 20 years ago before it was popular, and I had to push really hard to be heard. Thank God for the label executive who was there at the time, Kadar Massenberg, because without him, I wouldn't have been heard. And so my mother is a high-level creative. When I came into the industry, she started making all of my clothes. So go back and look. All the stuff that even looks like it was by a high-end designer is because it was, and it was my mother. All of it. My father was a professional athlete who, anybody who knows athletes have world-class discipline. So I was born of a world-class creative and a person with world-class discipline, and it taught me that I could be whatever I wanted to do and be, and I came out here and I did it and I be it. That's who I am. So I'm affirming me today on this 2/2/22. And I also want to affirm you, to ask yourself, aside from your pretty, to affirm for yourself, what is your beauty? I like that. Aside from your pretty, what is your beauty?
So what do you think, Kevin?
That's her perspective. I have no thoughts on it.
No, come on. You have no thoughts on this?
No, that's how she feels, and I appreciate it, and I agree with her.
All right, so I think a couple things have to be said. Everything she said is 100% facts, right? Number 2, black excellence is everything. Number 3, black don't crack. Look at that skin. This woman is glowing, right? I told y'all earlier, I am an Arie fan. I'm actually still mad she got snuffed for that very first Grammy. I want to say that she lost to Beyonce, and I definitely think that was cause of colorism. But I have also, because I don't want no problem on these Beehive streets, I have recently converted to the Beehive once she did the Fela performance at Coachella, because that was definitely dope, and that was all about black excellence as well. But again, she brings in some really valid points about this Joe Rogan situation with everything that's going on. His bots, his rabid fan base coming against her. And again, like you said, she's sharing her perspective. She's mad because of, matter of fact, we didn't even get to the point where they showed everything else. Did I miss that, Kevin? Because she had a clip that showed all of his.
Oh no, that's a different clip.
That's
the other clip. She got her hair out. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies, everybody. I thought this was going to have.
Oh no. That's a whole different clip. That's why I was wondering, like, why are we playing this one? Because.
Well, listen, everything happens for a reason, right? Anytime I can give Arie a shout, I'm all here for it. So.
Oh no, I'm with it.
Because she said some things, right? She said some things that really come into this as it relates to the music industry, as it relates to black folks. It happens a lot. But let me find the other clip for y'all. Because Kevin actually sent it to me. Because we do these back and forth arguments all the time.
All the time.
Okay, this wasn't on her page. That's what happened. That's what happened. All right, so let's see here.
My music.
All right, so here we go.
I want to leave a short message here about why I decided to ask my music be pulled off of Spotify. So check this out.
No white people. Says, okay, take me to this one. And the guy goes, okay. I goes, is that in a good neighborhood? He's like, oh, yeah. Guy barely speaks English. He takes us there. We get out, and we're going, oh, there's the Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa, dude. We walked in the door, and there was no white people. It says, okay, take.
I empathize with the people who are leaving for the COVID disinformation reasons, and I think that they should. I also think that Joe Rogan has the right to say what he wants to say. I also think that I have the right to say what I want to say. So as an artist who builds, Spotify is built on the back of the music streaming. So they take this money that's built from streaming and they pay this guy $100 million, but they pay us 0.003% of a penny. Just take me off. I don't want to generate money that pays this. Just take me off. That's where I'm at. And I know that I'm actually, to be honest with you, surprised that my statements were picked up, because I thought people weren't really going to listen to me, because that's what I'm used to from the industry. But I'm glad that I am being heard, and for that reason, I want to clarify my statements. Again, this is why. Watch this.
Like,
the nigger thing.
yeah.
Saying the word nigger.
You've already said nigger.
D is just like nigger. Saying nigger.
She's calling you a nigger. It's like this
Boy, that he's a nigger, and starts calling them niggers. Word nigger.
There should be a word like nigger, especially like the word nigger. That's our nigger. About niggers. He says nigger. Guy, a nigger. And there are niggers. Start saying nigger. Allowed to use the word nigger. Out the word nigger. See nigger. Word nigger. Say nigger and you couldn't say nigger. Most nigger.
So we know how social media can be. Things can be doctored. People are taken out of context. It's happened to me many times. However, I want to be clear in no uncertain terms. Where I stand on this is that he shouldn't even be uttering the word. Don't even say it under any context. Don't say it. That's where I stand. It's my right to stand there. I have always stood there. I have other feelings about it, but those are nuances that are not meant for this moment. He shouldn't even be saying it. And so the confluence of energies comes into play here. So now we have this person who is offensive to a lot of people, who's paid $100 million. Spotify, the backbone of Spotify is the music. So you pay the musicians that are the backbone of your business 0.003 to 0.005% of a penny, and you take this money that you generate over here, because all the rest of it goes somewhere. The subscription fees go somewhere. So you take this money that's generated over here and you use it to invest in this guy. Do what you want, but take me off. Or pay me too. And I don't just mean me, I mean us. Artists like me, pay us too. Pay podcasters of color too. So Artist Relations from Spotify called me yesterday, and they asked me what I want, and I've been thinking about this all night. I'm not going to say it all here, but what I want to say to you is something that I already knew, but I want you to know that they said it last night. Most of the streams on Spotify are Black music, but we know that if you're paying attention at all, you understand the role of Black music in this world. So that's a deeper nuance. There's the musicians, there's the Black music that is the backbone of the whole music industry, that's the backbone of Spotify too, who are historically underpaid and mistreated and all this stuff. Just, there's a historical context here that makes all this matter. And then there's this guy, and you take this money and you pay this guy who says this stuff? No. And so it took Anil Young to open the door for someone like me, but I walked through it because I've been standing at this door for a long time. One of the hashtags I put on my post, the written one, was, what if we all leave? And that's what I'm trying to see if we could get to happen. What if we all leave? Then we can start having a conversation. It can go from a conversation to a negotiation.
But hold on, let's stop it right here.
Go ahead.
So let's get into it, because now it's about the boycott. What if we all leave?
What if we all leave?
Okay.
We going back to Montgomery. I feel this has Montgomery bus cop vibes.
Okay.
What if we all leave?
And then where do they go? Where do the content creators go? So this is why I asked the question: does boycotts even work today? Because this is not the 50s and the 60s. We didn't have equity then. We got equity now.
Do they have equity? Let's define equity. Equity is ownership.
We don't have, okay. We have ownership in our brand. We have ownership in our brand.
Yeah, but do they have equity in the platform? That's what your statement's saying. You're saying, do they have equity in the platform? I would say no.
Okay.
And hold on.
If they do have equity in the platform, right?
But hold on. She said a couple things too. Black music has historically not been paid. And if you are going to pay a guy like Joe Rogan, why don't you also play Black podcasters of color? Hey, I'm with it. But Joe Buttons was kind of there. Now, he got paid. We don't know what the figure was, but we also know that he left because of similar type issues. So I don't know all the issues, but there was clearly some type of issues there. And he left. And Joe Buttons, I won't say he made the platform, but he definitely helped the platform rise to a different level, to a higher level. So again, that further makes her point about being built off of black creatives.
I don't use Spotify, so I can't really say.
Okay. But your point is that we shouldn't boycott the platform because the artists will be hurt.
Again, the artists that don't leave, the black creators that are there, if we start fleeing the platform, they're essentially affected by that. Are we going to stand there and watch them lose and crumble because we're trying to make a point, or do we find another way where it's equitable for everybody? And this man gets I don't even know if punishment is the right term, but for lack of a better term, he gets the punishment that he deserves.
But what's the punishment? Because part of your argument, right, is that when black folks say similar type things, they get slapped on the wrist a lot harder, i.e. Whoopi Goldberg.
Right. She gets suspended for 2 weeks. Does he get suspended for 2 weeks? Does that matter? Is that equitable for us? Are we okay with him being suspended for 2 weeks? What is the fix? The whole boycott of Spotify, I think that it's a pirate victory. Okay?
It's a what victory?
A pirate victory.
Pirate victory. Okay. Yep. Never heard that term before. Okay.
Yep. And what it means is, although you may win the war, you sustain so much damage that you can't go on. So essentially you lose too. So basically what I'm saying is, is it time for us to find a different way? So this ties into the whole Jay-Z and the NFL thing. Again, all this, we shall overcome with the fist marching in the street, I think is a bit antiquated at this point because it's not yielding what it is we need, and that's change.
Okay. I just pulled this up just to show some of the commentary that's floating around about Whoopi right now. I'm just showing an article from the New York Times. It's an opinion piece, right, on Whoopi Goldberg's comments and the origins of racism. I haven't actually watched the clip on The View that what she said, but I do find it interesting that she's getting suspended. We'll have to go back and find that later on.
Well, I believe she's getting suspended in the way that oh man, what was the radio host who talked about the University of Connecticut basketball team, the females?
Oh, Imus.
Same thing. I don't agree. I don't think that she should have been suspended because I don't think what she said was offensive. But again, I can't tell another person what to be offended by, right? But if this is the metric, then let's put it across the board. Let's put it across the board for everybody. My point with the Joe Rogan thing is, how in the world do you grant a person $100 million contract and you didn't do the vetting? Because if you did any ounce of vetting, you would have saw all that. And you would have understood that that's not something that you can actually put out to the universe. He's not a person that you should put on your platform because these are the type of things that he says.
Well, couldn't you make that claim about YouTube as well?
You can make every platform.
But because
here's the thing. What he's saying is harmful.
And what's like, and the N-word, for the record, I hate the N-word. I don't use it. I don't like vestiges of white supremacy being uttered out of my mouth, just for the record. But in the terms of the N-word, you're saying that Spotify should have not cut him a $100 million check because he used the N-word in previous years, regardless of, because again, this is a business show, but we are culturally competent as well. It's about money for them. So you're saying they should ignore the fact that he used it, or they should not ignore the fact that he used the N-word and not pay him out $100 million. That's what you're telling me, and ignore his rabid following. Like, his following is crazy.
So now again, this is the conversation that I'm trying to have, a broader conversation. What do we do here? Because again, at the end of the day, it's about business and it's about that dollar. He has this amount of viewership, and we want to tap into that. what should be the penalty? Because now, if we say all black people divest from Spotify, right? What do we do to the Jamel Hills and all the other creators who have their content on that platform?
Okay. So let's take it.
Are we saying that, because we all want to pull out, you guys should lose out too? Because if that's the case, I think that's hypocritical, and I don't think that any person who's going to get up and go to work tomorrow should tell another person to lose their livelihood.
All right, so let's put a pin on it right there. Hold on, let's put a pin in it right there. We come back to it. Let's check in with the folks real quick. All right, so Thunder says this is the one reason why I believe every black man should have life insurance. Thunder, clue me in on the context. Oh, you said more. All right, life insurance is important in case you get killed by a ham sandwich or a slip and fall at a stray bullet. At least when it's over, your family can be taken care of. I'm puzzled by that word, Thunder. Maybe I missed did I miss a previous comment?
No, I don't understand what he was saying.
Okay. All right, real quick. Tyrone Jackson says some people are more equal than others. Ooh, some people have full immunity to say whether they want. Interesting.
He's absolutely right. We seen that now.
All right, and Hank Lawton says he should have stayed in his own lane. He was doing great at first, but the last couple of years he went down this bizarre conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
Well, hold on. Let's address Hank, because Hank, those comments were previous years. It wasn't these last few years. Those were years prior to that. So,
well, wait a minute.
Was he really doing great?
Hold on, because there's two sets of comments. The bizarre comments conspiracy he's talking about is the COVID thing, and that started around 2020-ish, 2021-ish. So it has kind of been the last couple of years. Now, the next issue, because we have multiple issues here. The next issue is
doing great at first, but then the last couple of years, what I'm saying is those comments he made were previous to these COVID conspiracy thing.
No. The India Arie issues, right? We got to go kind of chronologically. The India Arie things, which we introduced earlier. Hank's comment was the very first comment in the stream before we even went live. So I'm assuming, Hank, if you're still here, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming you're talking about the COVID conspiracy theory, because everybody's kind of jumping in on that, and I believe it's because that's what the algorithm is kind of rewarding. That's what people want to see. So the content creators started to kind of pile on and keep talking about that. His fan base definitely wanted to see that. So I believe that's why he went down that rabbit hole. All right, so let's get back in. So Thunder, please clarify the life insurance. Now Thunder brings this in. By the way, shout out for Thunder, because he's here for most of our conversations. Thunder says, yes, boycotting still works, but let's boycott something that matters, like the Democratic Party. They haven't taken our votes from us for years and refuse to do anything, so let's boycott them altogether. All right, so here's a question to you, Thunder. If we're going to boycott the Democratic Party, should we also boycott the Republican Party? Or are you saying, let's boycott the Democratic Party and let's run to all become Republicans? Because right now we are in a two-party system. And by default, when you say Democrat the Republicans or boycott the Republicans, you kind of are saying let's go to the Republicans. When you say Democrat, let me take a breath. When you say let's boycott the Democratic Party, it's implied that the only other option, since we are in a two-party system, is to go to the Republican Party. So is that what you're saying? Or is it a little bit nuanced? I want to make sure I get you right. All right, so Akira 34, how are you? Thunder agrees Democratic Party needs to be boycotted by us once and for all. Okay, same question.
So, hold on. So here's the problem with boycotting. Everybody saying boycott.
Hold on, Kevin. Hold on.
To do what?
Akira, the same question, right? What's next? Do we go to the Republicans or do we do independent? Same question stands for Thunder. We boycott the Democrats and then do what? All right. Now go ahead, Kevin. What were you saying?
Yeah, again, boycott and go where? Boycott and do what? What's the outcome we want from these boycotts? And I think that's what we've been missing. We've been missing what the true outcome would be from the boycott.
Okay, Nicole says she should have won more awards, but they pushed Alicia Keys and Beyonce. All right, so Akira 30. All right, Thunder responding to Akira 34. Yes, let's boycott the Dems and the local stores that are not black owned. Let's keep the black dollar in black hands as much as possible. I agree with the black dollar part. All right, so y'all having a whole. All right, boycott the Super Bowl. All right, we about to get into it. Hayden, how are you, Hayden? This is a damn shame in the age of woke cancel culture, loving people that fail to understand they are being used. Okay. All right. Thunder says, look up if they are black-owned gas stations in your area. Oh man, y'all all over the place. Y'all not sticking to the subject matter today. I see at all. If they are black-owned farmers, all right. Because Hayden says, Hayden, shout outs to you. I know you're over there in the pond. Across the pond, it's probably about 10 o'clock over there in England. Because the black podcasters don't bring in the same amount of views to the platform, this is the same non-point that is used with women's football. No one watches it, so makes no money, so they get it. Okay, I get your point. So they get paid less. I got you. All right, Jose says boycotts don't work. I would say that's not true. Montgomery, Alabama.
South. You gotta, first of all, no. You can't.
Well, can I finish my sentence? Let me finish my sentence. Let me finish my sentence.
I can't because we've been doing this since 2012. You keep saying the same thing. We're not in the 60s no more, bro.
Yeah, I'm bringing it forward. So just listen, wait and listen. We want to have a civil dialogue, sir.
No,
all right.
You told me to be me, right?
Yes. Again, I'm hoping you'll be civil for a change, right? So I'm bringing it forward. So the 50s worked. Right, the principles. Let's go back to principles. Everybody gets caught up in their feelings, but we don't want to talk about the principles. Money moves things. When you attack somebody's pocket, it moves things. Now, to Jose's point, Montgomery worked. South Africa worked. That's the 80s, Kevin. All right, so I'm bringing it forward a couple of years. All right, so to be clear, no one brings in that same amount as views as Rogan. I would agree. I would agree that's the issue. And without burying the lead, as they say, I think that's the reason why Rogan's not going anywhere. Because he brings in too much money and his fan base is majority white.
Yeah. So again, my question is, what is the penalty? What's the penalty for this? This can't go swept under the rug. Not on the heels of the Whoopi Goldberg suspensions. This can't go on. He can't just put up a IG post say, hey, I was wrong. I was high when I said that. I didn't listen. DL, he be saying it's three type of people that tell the truth. Babies, drunks, and I can't remember the third one, but and alcoholics. Let's put the drug addicts in it too. So he's telling you how he felt. He's telling you how he. There's no way a man can say he was dropped off in a black neighborhood, and I felt like I was in Planet of the Apes.
Well, you jumping ahead a little bit, Kevin, because we got to get to that video as well. Because Hayden's asking, have you watched the videos in context? Rogan's.
So let me say this.
With the N-word.
I haven't watched the videos in context. I heard his explanation for them. That's what I've heard. And it makes no sense to me.
Okay, so, all right, we're jumping back on a couple things. So Jose says her suspension is crazy. Judaism is religion, not a race. Well, depends on who you are talking to.
And I think that's what she got suspended for, because she didn't understand that the Nazis viewed them as a race.
Right. What's up, Jim? How you doing? That's my tax guy right there. Spotify pays the artist the worst. Yeah, I think that's been pretty well documented. All right, so Thunder says, just an idea or theory. What if he is being targeted because of his stance on the vax, and the quickest way to shut him down is to use black folks? Well, he didn't use black folks. I mean, these are all old stuff. We're being used again. Family, wake up. Why now?
I mean, that's a valid question, Thunder. Why now? Does it really matter why now? Because if it's something that I wasn't aware of what he said, because I don't follow Joe Rogan. I don't listen to Joe Rogan. But now that it's out there, it is public, what's the fix?
All right, so Mote says, how you doing, Mote? Thanks for joining. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We could all leave if we would stop trying to be in front of a camera and build from all aspects of the business. Has integration really helped us? We need to stop begging and build our own platform.
So now let's talk about that, Mote. We ain't gonna support our own platforms. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example. How many of y'all got the All Black app?
What is the All Black app?
My point exactly. We don't support our own stuff. So let's stop acting as if we build our own platforms. We're going to rush to that because that's not what it is. So let's go to the next question.
Well, no, but what is it? You can't throw it out there and not give us what it is.
It's all black movies and TV shows. It's all black content.
So is it All Black TV? Is that what it is?
It's all black.
Okay.
It was 100% owned by Bob Johnson, but he sold a piece of it. So, man, I can't remember who's he's partners with now, but
well, listen,
it's all black content.
Okay, but now you brought one of the reasons for the Finance Rebel show is to bring exposure to black stuff, black assets, black content that has not been exposed. So then the audience could then go check it out for their own, and we could potentially support it. So let's talk about it. You brought it up. Let's talk about it. So we can support it because I support all day long.
But you got a subscription. You got a subscription to the title as well.
I do, but I never heard about All Black. So now I know about it. So maybe I can get a subscription to this as well. Okay. So don't kill me for not having a subscription to something I never knew about.
No. All I'm saying is when folks say that, I hear that all the time. Let's build our own. Let's build our own. We have our own. Same thing. Remember when Oscar So White was out and everybody was talking about that? And I kept asking folks, but do you support the NAACP Image Awards? Nah, they don't.
I think that's different.
But again, it's our platform, right? It's celebrating us.
Well, some would say the NAACP is not our platform.
Okay.
So
well, the Image Awards are, because what's the shows that they're highlighting?
All right, so help me out. I'm trying to figure out how much this is.
I think it's $4.99 a month.
Okay, that's not bad. And you like this platform? You're subscribed to it?
I'm subscribed to it.
Okay. All right. I will give it a chance. Definitely give it a chance. I mean, here's the
full disclosure. I canceled my subscription because I wasn't a fan of Bob Johnson. I didn't want to give him money to funnel into the Trump campaign. But then, again,
I love it.
Yeah, but again,
the Orange Monkey should not get any of our support.
Well, Bob Johnson supported him because
I know.
He was good for business. But again,
what's alleged good for business?
Well, from his perspective, I don't have his kind of money, so it ain't good for me.
Right. All right. So Aiden says they tried to cancel him a few times because he gets more views than all the news stations put together combined. That's true.
I get it. So again, I'm not trying to say let's boycott him. I'm asking, what is the penalty? What needs to be done that will make us okay? Because first of all, throwing darts at him is only going to make his base close ranks. You know what I'm saying? And we saw that with the 75 million votes old boy got. So let's figure out what it is that will make us satisfied. What's the penalty that will make us satisfied? Because you're not going to cancel a man. You're not going to cancel him. He has too many fans that will follow him wherever he goes. He'll never be canceled.
All right, so Thunder says we as a group do not, for the most part, vote Republican. I didn't think to mention that. Don't vote for anyone who will not do anything specifically for our group. Right. But again, Thunder, when you say that and when all these other quote-unquote black Republicans that are getting paid say, let's boycott the Democrats, and they don't give any nuance and they don't give any context, it implies that we should go to the Republicans. And for the record, the Republicans started the war on drugs. I'll just leave that there because I don't want to turn this into a political show on that angle. But I would say one more thing. Democrats are trash. Republicans are trash. What we need to do is figure out how to support the issues that are impactful for us, regardless on what party backs them. But until we do that, but wait a minute, let me finish. But until we have some kind of unified base, it'll all be for naught anyway. Go ahead, Kevin.
Politics is trash.
But politics is life. Anytime you have, old man told me a long time ago, anytime you got two or more people involved, you got politics involved. And I would agree that that's correct. And here's the reason why black folks cannot, and this issue is very political. This Joe Rogan, Arie, vaccine, music thing is very political. And it's something we should keep our eyes on, but there's also some learning lessons in it as well. That's why we're talking about it on the Finance Rebel Show. But black folks can't afford to not be a part of the political process because politics is wealth. If you look at how money is divided and allocated, it's wealth, education, resources, whether it be police and fire or water or schools. Every structure affects black folks. But sadly, we have a lot of these goofy people running around saying politics wasn't made for us or this country wasn't made for us. Well, here's the question I keep asking y'all. If we're not going back to Africa and we're not leaving, we should be involved in everything. And I think it's pretty safe to say that we're not leaving. Talking about the United States. We're not leaving. So to me, it behooves us to, one, educate ourselves, right? Get involved and make change. And we see when black folks get involved in things, they make change. So
again, now how do we address the whole Spotify issue? How do we find resolve in that?
I'll be honest, I don't know. Now I do want to go through and talk about, because we got a little bit off the rails. I do want to go back and talk about Joe Rogan's, what he said about his N-word commentary.
Mm-hmm. Well, play this video because that's
what's coming up next.
Yeah, he mentions he was in Philadelphia too, and that's another thing I want to talk about. What black neighborhood has a theater in its community in Philadelphia? And if he's talking about the Capitol that was up on 52nd Street,
that wasn't the Capitol. The Capitol's been closed forever.
Listen, Planet of the Apes was a TV show back then, so it wasn't then he was talking about. So what was he talking about? This is why I'm saying when the person asks, "Have we listened to the shows in context?" No, but I heard his excuses, and that don't add up to me.
I will say this though, for Aiden, my process for evaluating anything is always to go full context. Kevin will tell you that. I always go full context because one, and I'm not giving him a pass, but Joe Rogan is a comedian. So again, I don't know in what context he was saying these things, nor am I giving him a pass, but I intentionally want to be objective about everything because I feel like if you lose the habit of being objective, then you can just fly off the wheel at any time. And a lot of times we don't even look or try to be objective. We want to do what happens with the Salem witch trials or many of the other mob mentality things, and we just kind of go along and get along. And that is never good for anybody.
Well, in this particular case, he said, after he said that, he acknowledged that it was racist. So it's not a joke. I don't care if he's a comedian. It doesn't matter that he's a comedian. What he said was out of pocket. But go ahead, run that clip.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is your show.
I didn't know that, but it's cool. It's all love, brother. Family. All right, hold on. Spotify loves to throw the mute button on first, so let's get it. Real quick, everybody, throw one in the comments if you can hear the audio. Just let me know, because I don't want to run the clip and nobody can hear it.
No, I can't hear it.
You said you can't hear it?
No.
Okay, hold on, folks. Let's see what everybody says. All right, no sound. All right, give me 2 seconds. Let's start this again from the top. All right, listen, while you're waiting for me to get this together, remember, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. I got a special guest here today, Mr. Kevin Gee, my brother. We argue like cats and dogs, but it's always in love, and it's always from the perspective of iron sharpens iron. If you are around folks and all they do is say yes to you and they're yes men and yes women, you are not growing. Seek out some folks who will challenge your thoughts, who will challenge your opinions, and basically say, hey, that's bullshit. You need to go back and do some more study again. Because that's how we become better. That's how we become great. And for me, greatness is very, very important because it's in our DNA. And the only way we can get to what's truly destined to us is if we work for it, refine it like that diamond, shine it up, right, and get it out there. So let's keep cutting away at the BS and let's keep being great, y'all. So here's the clip. I believe I did it right this time. Now y'all got me scared that I didn't do the right thing. All right. But do me a favor, as you're watching, do me a favor. Comment, like, share this out with anybody who likes a good conversation about some things that are really, really impacting our communities. Might not be directly impacting because it doesn't affect you today. But when you look at how they treat artists that come up against this thing and how everything else is going, you see how it shapes the fabric of the black community. All right, so I should...
Hold on. And we need to, and this is why we need to figure out what a punishment is for Joe Rogan. Because if we let him sweep it under the rug, then it sets the precedent. And everything from this point on will be swept under the rug. So there has to be some sort of penalty paid.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Like that context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s, and how times have changed so much since then. Or about how Richard Pryor used it as one of the titles of one of his albums. Or I was quoting a Lenny Bruce bit, or I was quoting a Paul Mooney bit, or I was talking about how Quentin Tarantino used it repeatedly in Pulp Fiction, or I was talking about how a Netflix executive, ironically, used it because he was trying to compare it to another offensive word, and he said it out loud, and they fired him. Not calling anybody or just saying the word out loud. I was also talking about how there's not another word like it in the entire English language, because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and they can use it in so many different ways. Like if a white person says that word, it's racist and toxic, but a black person can use it and it could be a punchline, it could be a term of endearment, it could be lyrics to a rap song, it could be a positive affirmation. It's a very unusual word. But it's not my word to use. I'm well aware of that now, but for years I used it in that manner. I never used it to be racist because I'm not racist, but whenever you're in a situation where you have to say, I'm not racist, you fucked up, and I clearly have fucked up. And that's my intention to express myself in this video, to say, there's nothing I can do to take that back. I wish I could. Obviously, that's not possible. I do hope that, if anything, that this can be a teachable moment. Because I never thought it would ever be taken out of context and put in a video like that. And now that it is, holy shit, it looks bad. And it's part of also me doing this podcast for thousands of hours, thousands of episodes, over 12 years. I said a lot of fucking stupid shit, which is fine when you're talking about most things, but not when you're talking about race. And there's another clip that I have to address. There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia, and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. and we didn't know where we were going. We just got dropped off by a cab, and we got dropped off in this all black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining, and I said we got out, and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like that. And I immediately afterwards said, that's a racist thing to say. Planet of the Apes wasn't even in Africa. I was just saying there's a lot of black people there. But then I went on to talk about what a positive experience it was and how much fun it was to go to see this movie in a black neighborhood. It wasn't a racist story, but it sounded terrible. And like I said, you can have clunky stories about anything, but not about race. And so I deleted that whole podcast, but obviously somebody made a clip out of it and taken out of context. It looks terrible, but it looks terrible even in context. It's a fucking idiotic thing to say. And I was just trying to be entertaining. I certainly wasn't trying to be racist. And I certainly would never want to offend someone for entertainment with something as stupid as racism. My hope is that, look, I can't go back in time and change what I've said. I wish I could. Obviously, that's not possible. But I do hope that this can be a teachable moment for anybody that doesn't realize how offensive that word can be coming out of a white person's mouth, in context or out of context. My sincere and humble apologies. I wish there was more that I could say, but all of this is just me talking from the bottom of my heart. It makes me sick watching that video, but...
Well, there you have it. But my question is, did he delete the video before the podcast before he got outed or after he got outed for this?
It doesn't even matter what he did.
No, but it's interesting. Well, to me, it does matter because it'll show if he's only doing it as a reaction to this, potentially as his only reason for doing this, or he really was sincere and really didn't mean it that way. But I don't know. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, everybody, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Listen, I'm fighting against the algorithms, y'all. So I'm trying to get my numbers up here. So I appreciate all the help I can get. Thank you, Nicole.
What's up, Nicole? Haven't seen her in years. Haven't talked to her in years either. Hope all is well with you.
So, again, you said, what's the punishment? I don't know what the punishment is.
There has to be a punishment for this. There has to be a punishment for this.
I want heads. Heads, I say.
He was trying to make it entertaining. Okay.
Of course, he's a comedian. That's what they do.
Come on, man.
But we're talking about, I believe him when he says that. That's what comedians do. I know lots of comedians. That's what their aim is.
The road to hell is paved in good intention. So there has to be, especially on the heels of this Whoopi Goldberg thing, there has to be some sort of penalty for his intentional. None of this was by mistake. All of this was intentional.
What's intentional? The COVID thing, the N-word thing, the taking down thing. Which thing is intentional?
The COVID thing, again, like I told you in the beginning, I just believe that he can feel how he feels. He just needs to bring in the counter perspective to give it balance. But when you start talking about, I was in an all-black neighborhood, thought I was in Planet of the Apes.
So what do you want him to do? You want him to give $1 million to the United Negro Scholarship Fund?
Maybe.
Like the Koch brothers did?
Maybe.
Or you want him to, bring on 10 interns on the Joe Rogan podcast?
I wanted to.
Do you want him to be censored from Spotify?
I want his punishment to touch everybody he offended. So if that's paying $1 million into this scholarship fund, that's fine. But there has to be some sort of penalty. Do I think that he's going to be canceled? No, he can't be. Because even if he, let's say they pulled him off of Spotify, he pops up someplace else, his base will follow him because his base doesn't see anything wrong with what he said. And that's the biggest issue, is that his base doesn't see a problem with this. There's a few people I know who I've seen like his posts and stand by him in this. And again, that's fine. You can like him if you can't acknowledge that what he said was hurtful and offensive to a whole group of people. Now I got to question my friendship with that individual.
All right, so Evelyn, hey Evelyn, how you doing? For the record, I can't justify those weren't my words. The N word to me is still offensive to this day and has been since it was created. And so I was just talking about the context and what he said. And Kevin said he didn't believe him. I said I believe him. I believe him. But 12 years ago, was it offensive? Yes, absolutely. Is it offensive now? Absolutely. So, I'm here for it. So, I can't pronounce your name. I don't want to butcher it. So I'll just read your comment. I'm sorry. His punishment should be to have his right hand cut off.
You said you don't want to butcher it.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, no pun intended. No pun intended.
Oh my God.
All right, Thunder says, I think he is around black people so much he just got comfortable and forgot where and who he was. Also, and forgot where and who he was. Also, he works and is around a lot of large black men who whoop up on folks for a living.
Okay, so now let's address that because we talked about that earlier as well.
All right, so he said he's no. That's not what Thunder's talking about. Thunder's talking about his affiliation with MMA. Yeah. Them brothers can thump. All right. And so he said, yes, I think he will apologize. So he will apologize, and he did apologize. So yeah,
but the apology is not enough because if the apology was enough, then Whoopi Goldberg should have just been able to say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and we got back to work the next day. Although she didn't, she stood her ground on what she said. But my issue is this: what he said was not him trying to express an opinion about some historical event. What he was saying was ignorant, it was rude, it was out of place, it was hurtful and disrespectful, and something needs to give. Does he need to lose his show for it? I don't believe that's the answer.
So what will be adequate in your eyes?
That's what
wait a minute, hold on.
This is what I'm here to figure out.
Let me ask the audience, in your eyes, should he be punished? And if so, what is the adequate punishment? Please throw that in the comments. Let me know what you think. So I'm trying to find the clip from Whoopi and what she said.
Well, parenthetically, what she said was, the issues between the Nazis and Jews was not about race. It was about humanity and the Nazis being inhumane because they were both white. And what they were trying to explain to her was the Nazis viewed them as a race. And she was trying to say that's a religion and not a race. But I think what she was missing was that the Nazis viewed them as a race. And this is why they was doing, because they was talking about the purity of their blood and things like that. So I think she didn't open up to what others were saying to her. And I think that's where she got hit.
All right, I still want to find it. I still want to find it. Give me 1 second. Yeah.
I don't know. They might not even have that up no more.
Somebody found it and ripped it. But the problem is once you get a comment out there, okay, I think I got it. The problem is once you get it out there, everybody wants to comment on it, and so then it takes on a form of something else.
Yeah, and if you can't find the original, I think she was on Kimmel and she said it again. So.
All right, so give me 1 second. Y'all, do me a favor, y'all, as we were watching this, share this out, tweet it out, Facebook, YouTube, share it out with some folks. Listen, this show is all about, obviously, money. We talk about taxes, business, but it's also about the community and how we can evolve to a higher level of thought. Because remember, you can't solve your problems with the same thinking you went into them. And so we've had the same level of thinking a long time. The question is, how can we refine our thinking, change our thinking, and then reverse engineer our situations to change them? At least that's what it is for me. All right, so I want to pull up this Whoopi Goldberg clip because I've been dying to hear this. I just haven't had a chance to to talk about it or to really research it because I've been working. It's tax season, y'all. It's tax season. So, all right, here we go. You know what? Let me stop because I don't know if I hit the audio button. Daggone nasty audio button. And I don't think I hit the audio button. So let's put this out there. All right, so this is Whoopi talking her talk.
The Holocaust isn't about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended from ABC's The View for 2 weeks after those controversial comments about the Holocaust. ABC News President Kim Godwin confirmed the suspension on Tuesday and released a statement. Quote, effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities. Wednesday's episode of The View went forward with just 4 co-hosts, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, and guest co-host Tara Setmer.
Good morning and welcome to The View.
What I find ultimately very interesting is that as it relates to this issue, as it's tied into the Joe Rogan issue, is that the Jewish population in the United States is probably one of the smallest populations in terms of total population, total numbers. But they have some of the highest per capita income. They have some of the highest voting turnouts. And when anybody says anything that you feel is right, wrong, or indifferent, they feel some kind of way about it, shit gets shut down. Penalties will be levied. Fines will be paid, literally and figuratively.
I mean, listen, they created the entertainment industry. So, I mean,
they did.
Let's understand, the origins of that power and that strength among the politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into that because I don't need my phone's tapped or getting followed by satellites and free shit.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I couldn't find the actual clip, y'all. I am really interested now in the full context of it because I would say that Hitler didn't care about humanity because Hitler didn't just kill Jews. He killed Africans as well. Africans in North Africa and African Germans or black Germans. People don't talk about that often. There was at least 25,000 black Germans exterminated during that whole ordeal. So it's very bad on all possible sides. And real quick, just want to address this. Mr. Robert, Mr. Lynn to USA, thank you, sir. I saw that super chat. Thank you for being a model citizen. I appreciate that. A super sticker, it's not even super chat. Super sticker, $4.99. I appreciate you, sir. Listen, all money that comes to the Finance Rebel is here to help increase the quality of these broadcasts so I can bring y'all more information and better quality programming. So, Kevin, what do you think
about
the tie-in with Whoopi? Right, so there's a penalty being paid. Right, she got flogged, rather. Right, figuratively speaking, she got flogged. Joe Rogan, not so much. But you feel there should be a flogging, a penalty, a fine imposed on Mr. Rogan?
There has to be, because if not, then the precedence is set is that you can say what you want, or you can make these comments and then just come out and say, oh, I apologize, they were wrong. Not that you truly feel that way or believe it or change your ways. All you have to do is say it and you move on. I'm not with that. I'm not with that. Because if there's going to be a penalty over here, it got to be a penalty over here.
I don't want to mess your name up. Chrome Lemon says 25,000 black Germans killed in the Holocaust. Absolutely. The great poet, the great teacher said, KRS-One, African history is world history. So look it up. It's very true.
This is the missing link in mystery. Once you realize that all are African.
Okay. I hear you. I know you got them.
Not lyrics for days.
Yes, and the millions of Mussolini. Now, Mussolini was the head of the Italian government at the time that kind of came under Hitler's thumb, interestingly enough, and they killed a lot in North Africa as well. All right, so let's see. I think we missed some more comments. Let's jump into it.
Thunder asked. Go ahead.
Hold on, let me get it. Evelyn says, yes, I believe he should be suspended, but I also believe that anyone in a position or have a following should be corrected, whatever they may be. Now, here's the point I've been wanting to come to. Who's going to suspend him? Who's going to check me, boo? Who's going to check me? He's not an employee. Whoopi is an employee. He is a business owner with his own network.
Understood. So now this is where we have to figure it out. How do we get that punishment or shit? I don't even want to say reparations, but how do we find a solution to his words and how Spotify ties into this? Because now vicariously Spotify is connected, so they got to get it too. There has to be a penalty. If they're not going to enact a penalty, then they got to suffer it too, because then they're backing his play. And if you're going to back his play, then you got to get it too.
So Hayden brings up an interesting point. I can't believe you guys are actually talking about this when you haven't even watched the core videos. We did watch the core videos. This is the point everyone gets mad by viral clips and never looked further into this before this. So I've admitted that I haven't seen all the videos. Kevin admitted he hasn't seen all the videos, but Kevin also admitted that this man said he was sorry. Man being Joe Rogan. So he addressed it. We played it. We're adding context. We're adding the nuance. And I'll be honest, I don't know how many people are really going to check for this video. But maybe y'all can prove me wrong by sharing it out. All right, so share it out.
I think I think for me, the overall conversation with you initially was, how do we find a resolution in this without injuring every Black content maker on that platform? That was my sole goal in asking the question. Does the boycott work? And I don't believe that it does, because again, if we're going to ask all these people over here to pull your content off and they don't have deals elsewhere, I don't think that it's fair to ask somebody to take a loss that we're not willing to take.
So basically, you're comparing this to the Colin Kaepernick thing, like where everybody said all the NFL players should not play, all the Black NFL players should not play.
That's stupid.
Can you let me get it out, sir? So you're also saying that many people are calling for all Black creators that are on the Spotify platform to divest, right? Remove their content off the platform, as Arie said, and just everybody take their ball and go home. And you're saying that's not fair because they're going to lose income, money, exposure, equity, whatever. Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is, I personally have a problem with people who will get up tomorrow and go to work telling another person they need to quit their job to make a point. Quit your job to make the point. So if you're not going to take the financial hit as well, don't ask that person to do it either. Let's figure out what is equitable for everybody. Where he gets his penalty, but on the back end, these other Black content creators don't lose.
But what if somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb and they have to go first?
Arie did that.
Okay. That's valid. That's a valid retort. That's valid.
In the NFL, Flores did that.
That's modern day. That's a little bit different. Let's go back to Kaepernick. Flores isn't asking anybody to leave.
But here's the thing with I don't even want to get into this.
Flores didn't ask anybody to leave. Also, by the way, I covered Brian Flores on Friday with Danielle, and she brought up some great points that Brian Flores has an all-white legal team, which is very interesting. But go and check that out. It's on the platform.
Why does that matter that he has an all-white legal team?
Why does it matter? So we're talking about discrimination in the NFL, how they're not hiring Black folks, and you're going to pick voluntarily white folks to step up for you. But Danielle, wait. Let me. Danielle breaks it down very, very well in the video. So go watch the video. Help the streams go up. Help the views go up.
I'm definitely going to watch it. But my question then is, What if I already got the relationship with this firm?
Okay, and that firm has no other black representation. So how they're very much the same view as the NFL. They're a legal version of the NFL. We talked about it.
Okay.
So how, if we're really going to fight for diversity and inclusion, right? Shouldn't we also be working with people who are fighting for that?
We absolutely should. We absolutely should. But I believe that relationships come into play. If I have a relationship with a white person who can get this job done for me, do I say, nah, I can't really use you because you're not black?
No, but it will also show the content of this white person's character when their whole firm is white based and they're Trump supporters. Go watch the video, y'all. Go watch the video. It's up right now.
I'm absolutely going to watch that.
Now, I'm going to apologize up front because the audio was a little messed up. I'm actually going to take it down after we get done with this and put a new one up. Same content, though. Same content.
Yeah.
So.
And we got to get ready to wrap.
Yes, we do.
I got to get ready to wrap. But let's go to my apps. What they say, boycotts don't work unless financial pain is too much to bear. Fox News has several programs with no real advertising because their content is aberrant to most of the mainstream companies.
All right, well, read it. Read it out loud so everybody can hear it. So read it again, Kevin.
Boycotts don't work unless the financial pain is too much to bear. Fox News have several programs with no real advertising because their content is too aberrant to most mainstream companies. Yeah, okay. So now, do we reach out to Spotify's advertisers and say, hey, listen? But again, we got you. Here's what we felt in so many of our protests. We never went in with an ask.
But wait a minute, I think we have to address the first thing though, right? The question was, do boycotts still work? You asked that.
I say no.
You say no, but you agree with my apps. Again, shout out to my apps, because he said boycotts don't work unless keyword there, unless the financial pain is too much to bear. And that's with any boycott. And so when I talked about earlier with the principles, with Montgomery, with South African divestiture, the pain, Clubber Lang, what's going to happen in this fight? Pain, right? So when the pain is there, things change.
What I'm asked, so then to bring into full spectrum of what I'm saying, then the black creators, content creators on that platform, how do they continue to feed their families and support the things that they're doing and support the many black causes that they support if we're taking money out of the system? Because they're going to be the first ones hit because their viewership is not where Rogan's is.
But here's the thing. Spotify is the only game in town. They are the biggest streaming platform, but you still have YouTube, you still have Apple, you still have Tidal, right, which is still around. There's other things to go to. So it's not this vacuum where Spotify is the only game in town.
But you still got to go get the deal. You got to go negotiate the deal.
Yeah. So who else has a deal on Spotify? Who else has what other black creators? Does Jamel Hill?
I know there's a Jamel Hill, but I know Van Lathan has something up there. There's quite a few. I don't really use the Spotify platform, so I don't. Oh, my boy VQ, Rashawn got it. He just started his podcast over there. I don't want to say.
And he got a deal.
I don't know what his situation is. I didn't get.
Because listen, the Finance Rebel Show is on Spotify, right? So anybody can be on Spotify, but I could also go off of Spotify as well.
Yeah. So again, the point I'm making is, so if there's no financial incentive for you to be on that platform, then are you willing to pull your content off?
Me?
Yes.
Maybe, but I don't. There's no profit incentive for me per se, right? Outside of being able to touch my people that are on the Spotify platform.
Right. No, I get it. So again, I think we need to figure out what that penalty is and how do we get it. But first, we got to go in with the ask. We can't go to Spotify and say take Joe Rogan off. That's not the ask. The ask is to make the system better, so it doesn't happen again, or they do a better vetting process. Whatever the case may be, we got to go in with an ask. If we don't have an ask, then the whole rah protest is for what? It's for not.
But do we need to ask? Do we need to worry about Joe Rogan? I mean, this is a question. Do we need to ask? Do we really need to worry about Joe Rogan? Do we really need to concern ourselves with this outside of the sister and the Arie asking for the support? Right, but let's take that aside. Is this a distraction?
A distraction from what? I could read and write. I could walk and chew gum. I mean, it's not a distraction to me. All I'm saying is, so I'm looking at a bigger thing. Joe Rogan is, the man himself is inconsequential to me because I don't follow him. He doesn't touch my life in any way. What I'm saying is the issue that a man can say something as ignorant and disgraceful as what he said, come out and say, oh, hey, hold up his phone. Hey, I'm sorry. Oh, my God. When I hear it now, it makes me cringe. Oh, Lord. Put it phone down and then go back to the nigga talk. There has to be something more. That's all I'm saying. Because if not, then we're going to continue to see these creators.
Let's watch the N-word talk. Yes.
I know. But we're going to start to see more and more of this happening. And before you know it, it's going to be the daily thing. And I don't want to see that. I think that we really need to lock down and understand what it is we need from this incident.
But I think it's already the daily thing, right? I think black voices are already been muted from every.
I'm not saying being muted. I'm talking about
no.
Coming out saying the things that they say.
Right. But when I say being muted, I'm talking about nobody cares. As Indy Arie said, she's like, I'm surprised this even got picked up because people have been ignoring her for so long. The industry has been ignoring her for so long, and so this to me further shows that black voices really don't matter to the mainstream corporations. That's why it's really important to support black as much as possible, in my opinion, because the more we support black organizations, black institutions, the more our voices then become consequential. Then we can push things, then we can change things. I think, just not to go off on a tangent, right? But I look at the Jewish culture, religion, people, whatever you want to call it, as a great way, or as a way to potentially model them for the black community, right? Look at what they have. They have a centralized way of disseminating information against the people who don't say things that they agree with. The ADL. Could black folks do something different or similar? Could black folks do something similar? Right? Could we have a common voice? Right? Now I know
the NAACP was,
but the NAACP was not, and this is no shot against NAACP because NAACP has done great work, but they were never meant to be that.
I know.
Right? Right?
I know.
And oddly enough, if we're talking about this, part of the people that helped fund the NAACP outside of W.E.B. Du Bois, outside of Ida B. Wells, were a bunch of people from so-called Jewish descent.
Yeah.
And I say so-called Jewish descent because you could also say, I'm a history buff, you could also say black people were Jewish descent too. But I don't want to go too deep in that.
I mean, but of course they were. I mean...
Yeah, but some people don't want to talk about that.
The book of Exodus is all in your Bible. The book of Exodus is about that. So, but we're not going to go, I don't even want to venture down that road because like I said, I don't need the drama. But we need to figure this out, bro. We need to figure it out because if another week go past and he's still on, it's just going to get washed under the rug.
But here's the thing: he's still going to be on because his podcast will then go to YouTube.
But what I'm saying is there has to be some sort of penalty.
But from who? Who is going to check him? That's the question I asked you initially. Who's going to check him?
This is the collective question that we always come back to. What's our unified voice? If we don't have that unified voice, that organization that stands up like the ADL, then guess what? Oh, this is just a waste of time. It's moot at this point because we don't have that body that's going to stand up and say, "Here's the penalty. This is what you got to do."
So instead of maybe asking for boycotts, maybe we should build internally and build our own platforms and our own people that can speak for us, coalesce around them and promote them. So when a egregious things happen, we have a body to say, hey, this is effed up. I'm asking the question. Well, now let's ask the audience. What do y'all think? Is that a viable solution? Because we know boycotting is problematic. While in theory it works, but sometimes the people that are putting these boycotts together don't think them all the way through, in my opinion, right? So I still say boycotts work when they are executed properly, because you said it, you have to have an ask. And so many people say, let's boycott, but let's boycott what? We both talked about this years ago. They wanted to boycott Florida. They wanted to boycott the state of Florida. They wanted to boycott South Carolina. Okay, but what is your ask?
What is your ask?
And then what happens to the black folks in Florida and South Carolina? And so how are we really thinking these things through, or are they all emotional knee-jerk reactions?
It's all emotional knee-jerk, as always.
Right, and so that's why I asked, should we even worry about this at this point? And again, I hope we aren't going too much round and round in a circular conversation. But I wanted to talk about all this, right, so we can flush it all out. And I know Hayden feels that we're kind of being journalistic hacks right now. But I wanted to talk about this because what is the solution? Because we keep seeing the same thing happen time and time and time again, and it didn't just start in 2022. You can go back 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. We've had the same issues.
That is true.
You know, so what's the play, y'all? What's the play? So let's grab a couple of these comments real quick, because I know you got to run. When you put people in a jab just because of their race and you're feeling you need to just find best person for the job, surely no matter what they are. Hayden, I need more clarity on that. I don't understand. I also hope you guys are ready for a heavy drop across the markets this week. Yeah, listen, I've been telling folks the market is going to drop. I'm here for it. Hopefully y'all got y'all. Yes, it's been dropping. Hopefully y'all got y'all cash, right? Because I've been telling folks you need to have cash. Cash is important. Savings is important, because when blood is on the street, it's time to go shopping. Not said by Mr. Buffett, but said by Mr. Rothschild many, many centuries ago. All right, advertising is where it's at. Fox News is willing to take the loss because the two shows bringing ratings to offset the lack of advertising. Rest of the network ads go up in price. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know that that's how that works, but that's a different conversation.
Well, you definitely have different shows that are loss leaders, or like who was that? My app said, right? Some of the Fox shows have taken considerable hits, drop-offs from advertisements, but they're still on because the other shows can carry them. And you see that in every business, Kevin. If we look at it from a sports perspective, college sports perspective, football and basketball basically carries all of college athletics.
Pays for everything. Yeah.
Right. So that's basically the same thing he's talking about right there.
I can dig it.
All right. Thurden says that's right. They ain't the only show in town. Yeah, right. So listen, y'all, I hope y'all don't feel like we're being journalistic hacks. There's always a plan here. We're always going to get to the meat. But we got to talk about the things that are relevant and still always bring it back to a cultural lens, or look at it through a cultural lens. That's always my intention. All right, so my app says most of Spotify audience is international. That's why they're the business. That's a fact. They're a European company in the Netherlands or Norwegian or something like that. Thunder also says, I want to tell you, I'm digging at that. All right, my man. It's always about the RBG. All right, Thunder says his punishment is to be an advocate for anti-black hate legislation. I like that, Thunder, coming through.
Yeah.
I like that. Yes, Thunder. His punishment is to be an advocate for anti-black hate legislation, just like what they gave the Asians, just like what they gave the LGBTQI community. All right, I like that.
Let's start flooding him with that.
Yep. So take this clip and send it to Joe Rogan, y'all. All right. So perhaps the law should be changed. All right, here we go. Anyone using that word goes to jail. Well, no, because then that's the First Amendment right. So that would be rough right there. No court, just jail, and Joe sets the precedent.
You want to talk about jumping off the deep into the deep end?
All right, so Hayden says, I think you all need to read the poem by Pastor Martin Niemöller. First they came for me. All right. I think, is that the one Martin Luther King quotes? Mimo says anyone. Not sure what that means. All right, his punishment is to champion HR 40. I like that. Do y'all research, y'all. I need y'all to know who started HR 40. It's the great black congressman from the state of Michigan who just recently passed. So y'all should look that up. All right, so my app says this is a distraction rebel. Focus on real tangible issues. This is a segment on the right who wants to use that word without repercussions. Yeah?
No. What they need to understand is this conversation was about the boycott and how it financially impacts other black creators. That's what the whole tie-in is. I mean, to talk about what this man can say and can't say is not really, it's not the issue. My thing was when they started to talk about pulling out of Spotify and boycotting Spotify, my question is, how does that affect the other black content creators? That's the tie-in for me on the financial side.
All right, and for the record, right, I know I just gave y'all some clues about the gentleman, the great ancestor that fought to pass the bill HR 40. It's John Conyers, right? Because I'm scared y'all might not look it up. So it's John Conyers from Michigan. He passed in either 2020 or 2019. So him, Elijah Cummings, and John Conyers passed very, very close to one another. Both civil rights advocates. And that's part of the reason why I believe that black folks definitely have to look into and be involved in politics as much as possible.
Listen, real quick.
That's a fact. It wasn't YouTube before. Attention brings dollars. Money flows where the eyeballs go. That's the saying. Go ahead, Kevin.
I wanted to read this from First They Came. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I'm not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I'm not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I mean, it goes on and on. So, all right, I get it. I'm going to read this.
I mean, I was here for you reading it right now. I mean, you was on a roll.
I don't have the time.
What do you mean I don't have time? It was probably 30 more seconds. See, this stuff I'm talking about, y'all.
It's quite a few. The longer version, okay. It's a long version. So they can look it up.
All right, so we'll definitely put a link to that in the chat somewhere once this video goes up. So yes, I will. I second that from Pastor Martin. Pastor Martin, how would you say his name? Niemöller?
Yeah, I can't pronounce it.
All right.
Niemöller.
All right, Jerry. Hey, Jerry, how are you? Sorry, you guys. I was trying to say mean, not main. I'm talking into my phone. I better check my spelling. It's all good, man. It's all good. I get it. I am probably the Prince, King, or Lord of misspelling on these social medias, and this guy right here, this guy Kevin, bust my chops every time. Every time. So listen, as we finish up here, I want to know, have y'all enjoyed this segment? Do y'all want Kevin to come back and bust my chops some more? Put a yes in the chat if you would like us to have Kevin come back some more. All right, Thunder says yes. And that body that speaks up for us must do so unapologetically and not be tied to any political party. Yes, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I was only pushing back earlier to you, Thunder, because, again, some people don't think real rap. And they'll say, oh, it's only two parties. So if we're not going to do the Democrats, we can only go to the Republicans. And that's just... So I agree. All right, so Niemöller. All right, Big Man Tech, shout out to Frank. That's my homeboy right there. Frank says yes. So if Frank says yes, Frank gets more sway than a lot of y'all folks. Me and Frank used to live together. So we go way back.
Okay.
Hey, Frank, I might need you, though, because Kevin's about your size and your height, and you used to bully me. Kevin likes to bully me sometimes, so I might need some backup. Just joking, y'all. Just jokes. These all jokes. All right, Thunder said so. He said Thunder said he said the N word, and now they're using the black community as attack dogs. Look, blacks are upset at what he said. We need to do something. Something hurt a black person. Well, all right.
No, I mean, and he's not. He makes a valid point, but still, it has to happen. It has to happen. He can't walk away from this with a IG clip of saying, "I'm sorry." That's not going. That ain't it, bro.
All right, so Mote says, yes, brother Kevin G, bring him back. So that's 2 votes. Any more votes to bring Kevin back? Listen, somebody throw the question or the response in there, right? Should we bring Kevin back? Because it's either up or down, like the Roman Colosseums, right? Either he's good, he lives, or he's off with his head. All right, Aiden says, just so you chaps are aware, trading on SPI commence in 1 hour. Yes. So it sounds like you're talking about SPI futures. SPI, actually, the ETF will start trading in overseas markets as well. That is correct. The only way to win a rig game isn't to play it. We don't play a rig game. You can't lose. So I hate that saying. It's not that simple. It's not that black and white. So we lose every time we're not involved in a political process. When black people are there, black people tend to represent. And when I say black people, I'm talking about black people who are black mind, spirit, soul, and body. Not just body. Because there are some black folks, like Chuck D said, every brother ain't a brother just because of color. All right.
My hand never pulled the trigger.
All right, so Mote says, yes, bring Kevin back. All right, cool.
Well, thank you. I'll be back. Hopefully.
All right. Thunder says, bring you back.
I appreciate you guys. Thank
Rogan
you.
has... So hold on, Kevin. I'm gonna let you go. Rogan has outlived his 30 seconds of fame anyway.
Yeah, I don't know about that, bro. We're not understanding the way of the podcast.
But again, as I said before, I don't really think it matters. I think what matters is what we do internally. I think what matters is how we start to fortify ourselves. What I think that matters is how we begin to show love to one another in the black community, because love conquers all. All right, so again, thank you all. Listen, I am here every Wednesday for the live show. Today was something a little bit different. Do me a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the comments, share them. Help me win this war against the algorithms, right? So like, comment, and share it out. And remember, y'all, society, for the most part, wants everybody to be poor. They want you to be in debt. They want you to be leveraged up to your hilt. And they also want you all to think the same. So what you have to do is you have to rebel, right? You got to think a little bit differently. You got to research a little bit differently. You got to educate yourself a little bit differently. Those are all forms of rebelling, or just rebel. Keep that in mind as we go out through this week, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Always full of gratitude that you're here rocking with me at every episode. And we will be back next time. So long.
Peace.